There's so much more that goes into a Shaboozey song than just guitar and drums. Most songs have guitar and drums, but not most songs have a billion streams. Today I'm going to show you why that song works. We'll talk about the arrangement, the writing, and the production. Let's get into it. First things first, why does one song have a billion streams and other songs have like 1,000 streams? That's a big question, and a lot of things contribute to it, but apart from being catchy, I'd argue that it's the connection to the song that makes you kind of compelled to play it again. Listening to a bar song by Shaboozey, it quite literally conveys what it's written about. All right, I'm going to hop into a bit of theory. Just bear with me, I'll try and keep it simple. The chord progression it uses is 6-1-4-1-5. A minor chord, going into a more home-sounding chord, going into an exciting chord, and then walking back down to a minor chord. The story of that chord progression paints a picture of unhappiness with what everyday life is like, desiring something exciting, but still kind of holding on to the unhappiness that makes your life comfortable. For musicians, we kind of understand what the chord progression is trying to tell us, but obviously the general population needs to understand it as well, so we write lyrics to kind of tell them how to feel. Then you wonder why this song and songs like Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls connect to a lot of people. Well, because it's quite literally saying, hey, I get you. So we've got that, we've chosen the chord progression, now how do we get into the production of it? Well, let's record. What I like to do when recording acoustic guitar is, instead of recording 2 separate takes, I'll just record 1 take and make it 2 times longer, and then I'll just drag, under, and panel left and right. Same thing as double tracking. For this song, I'm going to do a similar progression of E minor, C, G, and then G, D, back to E minor. All right, so here we are in the session. I just want to quickly go over what I meant by that acoustic guitar recording thing. So just in case you didn't understand, this is kind of like the entire part, but it's recorded 2 times the length, which means here's the verse, I recorded the verse twice, right? Here's the chorus, I recorded the chorus twice. Here's like a little bridge section, I recorded the bridge twice. And then I'll take these parts, like this one right here, I'll cut it and I'll drag it down. So now you've got 2 different takes of the verses. Instead of recording 2 separate takes of the same thing, I'll just record one thing, but 2 times the length. All right, hopefully that makes sense. These are the sections we have here. Let me just quickly rename these guitar acoustic. And we've got these 3 sections, or 4 sections, sorry. So we'll call that the verse. We'll call this the chorus because it's a little more exciting, a little more powerful. And then here, we've kind of got like a bridge maybe. Could even be a pre-chorus if we need it to be, but I don't think I want to have a pre-chorus in this. I just want to have a verse, chorus, bridge, back into chorus sort of thing. We do have this part too, which I just recorded extra, just in case we want it. We can kind of blend it into that little bridge section to kind of add some build and stuff. So those are the 3 sections, 3.5 sections really. First thing I want to do is arrange this, so let's quickly do that. I'm going to assume we're probably going to do 2 lengths of that verse. Chorus probably fine. We'll probably go back into that verse after the chorus. Just pressing Command I, by the way, to make space. Yeah, I'm not sure if we want 1 second verse into a chorus or if we want to do double the length again. Maybe we'll do that. Yeah, and then we'll go into our chorus again. This would probably be much easier if they were colored different parts, but whatever. Then there's our bridge. These parts can probably be dragged down to a different section because, well, they're not really going to be a main part. They're going to be more of an additional part, so we'll bring those down. Maybe we'll put that here. And then maybe we'll do like a double chorus here. And then that brings us to, it only brings us to 1:50, so maybe we'll have to extend a little more, but let's see. And then actually, you know what, we could take these, yeah, let's take that. And bring it back in right before this verse. So maybe something like this. Yeah. There we go. See, that's why we record extra parts. Same thing here. We'll take this part out. Okay, there's a couple of transition issues. This should start a little more over here. We can warp it if it's an issue. Odds are it won't be because we'll have drums and we'll have cymbals and stuff and all that stuff being added, so we probably won't even hear it, but if we do, we can just change that up a little bit. We'll see that in the future. I think I'm going to hop into some drums now. All right, we got our drums loaded in. I am going to use Superior Drummer. It's my favorite. I'll probably use a mixture of Superior Drummer and samples, just because we want to have a little more power. It's a little more poppy than just like a regular drum kit. We'll layer in some samples with it. But for now, let's get a basic drum kind of part set up. Okay, so here we are with drum parts. I mean, you can see I kind of copied and pasted a bunch of parts. A couple of different switch ups a little bit. So here we start with a hi-hat. I think actually instead of the stick tapped hi-hat, I want to go with the foot hi-hat. So like that. Yeah. It's also quantized a little more. Now, one thing I want to do before we get into other instrumentation is just kind of get this drum sitting a little better. I want to bring the ambience up. It needs to be a little more wide. There we go. That kick is kind of crazy. Let's open up all the channels and listen to that kick. It's because a lot of it's in the overheads and the ambience. Let's actually turn the kick down to the ambience. Yeah, it's better. Okay, cool. Now, something I like to do to add a little more emotion and nostalgia and kind of melancholiness into the beats, which is kind of what we're going after because of all the stuff I covered before, is add a nice piano. So what piano do we want to add? I might go with Labs. It's got some nice, soft, kind of emotional pianos in there. And intimate grand piano. Let's try it. Might be a little too soft, but let's go to dynamic. You know, typical Alan Walker faded. That kind of like typical walk down, which I think will sound good. Yeah, just building up bit by bit. Let's get a fiddle in there. I've got this thing called the fiddle, but I don't have the right version of Kontakt, so I can only play it for 15 minutes. So we got to play it and then freeze it. We're in the key of F. Okay, here is our fiddle part. I'm just going to freeze it really quickly so I don't lose it. It doesn't come in the first chorus. It'll come in the second chorus. A little more of a supporting line in the second chorus here. Then a little more supporting in the last chorus, first half of the last chorus. And then on that last half of the final chorus, it kind of goes a little more melodic. Kind of follows our piano line. Nice way to keep it evolving. I think that'll sound really nice. All right, before we add electric guitars, let's add in some drum samples here to really thicken up these kicks. Gonna go into my sample folder. There's a couple good country drums here. Nathan Chapman's got some great stuff too. These are a little too hard, I think. So I'm going to go into Make Pop Music, go into the Sour Candy stuff. Always has great sounds in this kit. Yeah, I like that a lot more. So let's bring that in here maybe. Yeah. Might just have to copy and paste, honestly. Yeah. Let's do the same thing with the snare now. I'm going to keep it a little low velocity. I want it a little bit softer, but I will bring it louder because I don't want the drums to be too smacky. So these are just going to be on the main, right there, the main snare hits. Yeah, and then I think I'll only have it in the choruses, I think. All right. Next thing we need is, of course, a shaker. We want to keep stuff going. Maybe not even a shaker, maybe a tambourine. Who knows? Maybe both. World's our oyster. Let's go to Tambo here. My favorite tambourine loop is, again, from Make Pop Music. In the cymbal loops, one of these. Yeah, that's what we need right there. As easy as that. Copy and paste, bring that in there. Perfect. And actually, let's bring that Tambo loop into the build, too. Get a little more room reverb. Why is that room reverb so long? Just tuck it in back there. That's perfect. That's perfect. There's an E there. All right. This is going to be snare. This is going to be kick. Those are going to be drums. All right. Yeah. Let's get a little bit of plate verb on that snare. Yeah. Now it's time to add some electric guitar. My favorite part. This will be fun. I think I'm just going to play regular chords. Maybe a couple like palm muting sections in the bridge. Not sure. We'll figure it out. So for this, I'm going to use a Stratocaster. Ideally, you'd use like a Telecaster, I think. But I don't have a Telecaster. And a Stratocaster will sound fine. I don't know. I might even use that Lizzie McAlpine patch I worked on. Just one of them. Okay, so we got this guitar. This is going to be called the E guitar OD. Just playing stuff like this. What I really love doing on the last courses is playing just the root note. It's kind of like, it's got that pedal note vibe, because it is a pedal note. Adds a lot more nostalgia when you're playing the root note over the chord progression. Okay, I think we're pretty much done. Maybe we could add some bass in there later. I don't know. I think it sounds pretty good. I think the majority of that anthemic sound anyway that Shaboozey has is from those crowds. By the way, if you want to make an anthemic song, you just got to get a crowd to sing what you're singing, especially on the breakdown. Maybe not even, maybe no acoustic guitar in this little section. And then actually cut everything out here. Definitely a clap. Sorry, we're not done yet. I forgot we need a clap. We need some sort of clap. Let's go to drum loop. Something like that. That'll be perfect. And then maybe bring this here. I'm getting tipsy, you know? Just get a crowd singing around this area. And maybe not even this part. We might just go directly into some. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just take it out. That works. That sounds good. That sounds good. Cool. I might do another video on how I'd mix something like this, so if you want to see that, just let me know. But yeah, hopefully you learned something. If there's anything you want to know about this that I might not have covered, if I forgot to cover, just let me know. Send me a DM or even just comment it, and I'll try and answer it in the comments. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. Goodbye.